And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Signposts. Good to see you all here today. Been a bit of an interesting week for me. I was going through a bit of an injury on Sunday. Had a dislocated shoulder, so I've been nurturing that dislocated shoulder back. It's actually doing pretty well. Really thanks to Etherics technology, and of course just doing a lot of deep inner healing for myself as well too. So left shoulder is doing a little bit good. I don't really need to wear that much of a sling anymore. So again, this happened on Sunday evening. I was at the water slides here locally in BC, and I was going down an inner tube. And when I was basically just springing myself off the inner tube, I hit the water really hard and ended up dislocating the left shoulder. So I had to go to the hospital. Was there for a few hours, but they were able to pop it back in, and just basically been recuperating ever since. But feel good today. Everything feels great. I was doing a webcast yesterday for Etherics, and here we are today for the Signposts Live. So we're going to have a lot of interesting stuff that we're going to be talking about today. But before we go ahead and get started, we're going to go ahead and move into some announcements. So here we go.
Your Etherics Prana Bed Kit today.
And the Etherics Academy is available for registration. You can now go ahead and enroll through the Etherics Academy. Our very first class starts this Saturday, September 2nd, starting at 9 a.m. It is a 3-hour long class, and it is going to be weekly classes as well too. Through the website, you can find out everything in regards to what the Academy is all about, what you will be learning through the Academy. You will also be able to have access to our free Telegram group, as I'm going to have coaches that are available through the Etherics Academy teaching you a lot of the curriculum that we'll be learning through the Academy as I go week by week through each of the classrooms. So again, the Etherics Academy is available now. There's a lot of great benefits that come out of the Academy. Go ahead and check it out, ethericsacademy.com. And of course, moving on to our final announcement. Private sessions are available with Adronis, Akashic Record readings, tarot, healing, and more. 3-question sessions by email are also available that are can be answered by Adronis as well too. If you guys are interested in distance healing, you can either order any of these, either of these sessions, as I can do distance healing through private sessions and 3-question sessions by email altogether. So again, you can check that out at newearthteachings.com. And everything on the New Earth Teachings YouTube channel is backed up onto Odyssey, odyssey.com/@newearthteachings. You can check the video description for the link, and you can join us there as well. All right, and also for Etherics, I have a 25% off discount code that is now available. You can just type in the text here, all capital letters, 25 off, SEPT, 25 off September, and receive 25% off of your order. This is valid only until September 4th, so it's a very short amount of time that this is available. So you can go to etherics.co, grab the products you want, and when you get to the shopping cart, go ahead and look at the discount code text box, type in that text code there, all in capital letters, and get 25% off of your order. All right, so again, this is good until the end of day, just before midnight Pacific time on September 4th. So go ahead and check that out as well too. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Let me just get a little bit more comfortable. Still negotiating the shoulder. Like I said, it's doing pretty good, but still a little bit sore. So we're going to go ahead and get started with today's broadcast. Actually, one thing I just forgot to get before we start, I'm just going to grab my preferred tarot cards. Let me just take a moment to grab them now. Okay, got my preferred deck, and we'll be going into that very shortly. So again, what we're looking at today is neutralizing upcoming dark agendas. So neutralizing them, okay? Not just talking about what may possibly be coming down the pipe, but basically any particular probabilities, we're doing what we can to neutralize them. And if they can't be neutralized, we're doing what we can to soften and lighten them up. Well, Brad, are you saying that we have the power right now to neutralize these dark agendas before they even start? That is exactly what I'm saying. Okay? Now, commonly in the past, what has happened is that people will start joining large meditation groups. Okay? So they'll start going into groups that maybe have hundreds of people, thousands of people, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, could even be millions, right? Just all depends. And that has made such a tremendous difference relating to all of the things that could have happened but didn't because of thought forms, because of the thought forms, because of the charge of the thought forms altogether. When you have dozens, hundreds, thousands, many thousands of people all meditating together on the same intention, on the same subject, you have a thought that is so incredibly powerful. You have a thought that is just bursting with this radiant light that it is going to basically help to cancel out a great deal of events that were looking to happen. This is basically what has averted a very horrific nature of what we would term as a World War III, right? A lot of the horrific predictions that go back many hundreds, or perhaps even thousands of years in regards to this time where there was supposed to be a third world war, a lot of that has been averted because of people working together and being able to work with the higher planes. That's what you got to do, right? You're only going to be able to do so much when you're in the physical planes. Okay, if you're just looking at everything through physicality, if you're looking through solidity, if you're looking through linearity here, you're not really going to get anywhere. Okay, basically, again, people just want to mess with the physical, and that's exactly what a lot of the dark regime does, is they just mess around with the physical. They're really not in touch with the higher planes. And this is what we're going to do today, is that we're going to be more in touch with the higher planes. And what we're going to do is we're going to be neutralizing certain agendas that are looking to come about between the end of this summer, leading all the way up into the end of the year, and maybe even the start of 2024 as well, too. So what does that entail? Well, basically what they're trying to do, because a lot of people have been talking about this, is they're trying to create a new pandemic. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to create a new virus. They're trying to create a new outbreak. They're trying to, again, bring this out to the whole world and try to do a lockdown. But nope. We're going to go ahead and work on neutralizing it. And if we can't neutralize it, we're certainly going to do our best to soften it so that it is very, very short-lived. Second thing that they're trying to do is they're basically trying to spike the world's water supplies. Okay? So what this means is that they will try to disperse chemicals, toxins, into oceans, into drinking water, and basically blame that on a new type of virus, right? And that's basically what they're trying to do. Okay, so they're basically going through these other different forms of agendas, right? Trying to poison water, trying to poison water supplies, trying to poison oceans. There's again going to be more scandals. Like I said, they create the chaos, and then they blame it on something, and then they think they have the solution for it. So these are, again, some of ideas of dark agendas that are to come. So really, again, trying to create a new pandemic, a new scamdemic, being able to try and poison water supply, being able to try and poison the oceans, being able to poison your drinking water, and getting you guys so completely in fear that they're going to try and keep everybody indoors so that they can go forward with their agendas to try and acquire as much land as possible. Because again, the whole idea of these wildfires that have been taking place are just a result of directed energy weapons. They're the result of source point energy weapon satellites quite commonly, and basically trying to grab land, right, wherever they see fit. So what we do is we're going to firstly take a look at some of these potential dark agendas from what I've been hearing and seeing exactly what their momentum is. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to guide you guys through a certain special meditation, and we're all going to be focusing on a particular thought form. And that thought form is going to get charged with an enormous radiance of the source center vibration, very much like what I have in the etherics technology. And what we're doing is we're holding that thought form together with such an incredible charge that is going to help to basically protect that particular subject, that particular theme, that particular platform that represents our intention to protect that particular energy. So whether it's the oceans, whether it's drinking water, and so forth, we have a thought form that is actually helping to protect that. And what makes that very protective is because we're bringing it up into the higher planes. We're making it lighter and lighter and lighter. The more that you can elevate a thought to where it becomes altogether a complete and total matrix, that matrix basically becomes nearly unbreakable just based upon the charge. But if you put that charge all together on a source vibrational level, on the source center vibration, that is going to hold it very, very strongly. And what that will do is if anybody tries to break that particular charge that's creating this umbrella matrix around this particular intention, then it could lead to an instant rebound, right? So they could try to poison the water, but then something happens to them that is almost like a karmic rebound, right? So that's basically what we're doing here. We're going to work with neutralizing dark agendas, okay? And you guys may also have some other questions too about other particular agendas. Oh, Brad, I hear that they're doing this, or Brad, I hear that they're doing that. Okay, great. We can look into those as well too. And we can work to neutralize, and if we can't neutralize, we're going to do our best to soften and lighten the situation as best as we can. Because it's time for action now, guys. It's not time to just talk about these things and then do nothing, right? It's time to take action, and I'm going to teach you guys exactly how you can do this, because you will learn how to apply this into your daily life. When you start going into the Etherics Academy, you're going to learn a lot more about how to do this on a much more deeper level. But I'm going to give you just the basics today to helping you guys out in being able to apply this and working with the higher light, right? So that all of your intentions get secured into the platform of the higher frequencies, rather than feeling that you need to, go forward with the physical. Because again, if you're just trying to put all these plans towards the physical, you run a risk of basically hitting obstacles in the way, okay? And this is the thing, is a lot of people are trying to look for physical, solid answers relating to these situations that are happening on the planet. That's not going to really help you that much, right? You're going to get a lot of restraint. You're going to get a lot of friction. You're going to get a lot of tension. You're going to get a lot of blocking and a lot of obstacles. So instead, we're going to learn how to bring these intentions up into the higher planes. And that is going to help to cushion, to shield, to soften, and to lighten any particular form of malicious agenda that is trying to bring these events forward, so that they can not only be averted, they just simply won't have the opportunity to manifest. It'll be an instant karmic rebound, and the dark forces won't be able to do it, okay? I don't think I've ever heard anybody do this before. So this is going to be something very, very new. And I'd like you guys to share this video today, okay? I want you to share this on social media, share this all around, because people who may not know what I'm talking about, well, they can just go ahead and do the meditation that we're going to do here very shortly. And they can tune into this and they can start doing it themselves, because you can really do it at any time. All right, so let's look at the first agenda that people have been talking about, that I've heard, relating to the nature of the next quote-unquote planned pandemic, okay? Where they're basically trying to poison oceans, where they're trying to poison the water supply, they're trying to put chemicals, toxins in the water, and then they're trying to blame it on a new virus that would probably be within your water, okay? So again, guys, if you are noticing that, if that does appear in the next little while, then you know exactly that that's part of a second scamdemic, okay? And it's not going to fly. Look what they've tried to do with the variants of COVID, with their Omicron. Look what they've been trying to do with monkeypox, right? All these different things that they were trying to do, and none of it got off the ground because people just weren't buying it, okay? And that, again, is just their plan. There's a difference between what is a plan and what can actually manifest, okay? And right now, as that's still within the ethers percolating, we have the opportunity to create a net, and that's what we're going to be doing, all right? So let's take a look at that. Is this a plan that they're trying to do to create a new scamdemic representing the idea of the water supply, or a virus in a water supply, that they're attempting to poison oceans, poison the water supply, and trying to, again, blame it on a new pandemic? All right, let's see what the cards say about that. Okay, let's move these up a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so it certainly is in their playbook. It certainly is an agenda, okay? But I don't see it getting off the ground at all, right? There certainly is a plan to do things like that, to basically try to create a second plandemic, scamdemic, whatever you want to call it, right? To basically work with trying to put viruses in the idea of drinking water, right? So that you just become so afraid to take a drink, right? So it's like you're afraid to breathe air because of COVID, and now you're afraid to drink water because of this new thing, right? But I don't think this plan is going to fly, honestly. Right? We're still going to put a net around it, but I don't think this plan is going to fly. I think it's going to be something that's going to fizzle out very quickly. Maybe it's because of the work that we're going to do with it today. But I don't see it really happening. It feels like something that's just going to be walked away from. It feels like something that is not going to stick. Doesn't feel like it's going to solidify altogether, right? And behind the scenes, again, there's a lot of protection being done all across the planet, not with what we're going to do together today, not just with that, but with a lot of intricate forces that are watching over the planet as well too. So they certainly have been planning this, right? This has been an agenda, but I think they're kind of flipping through their playbooks because they're running out of resources, they're running out of ideas, and they're running out of the capabilities to do a lot of these things, right? They basically just resorted to taking their laser weapons and start creating wildfires so that they can do some land grabs, right? How desperate do you have to be? And the honest truth, everybody, is that this old regime is dying. It's dying off very, very swiftly. And their entire mentality is that if we cannot have the planet, nobody can. If we cannot conquer this earth, then nobody can have the earth. We will burn it to the ground before we let anybody else have it. Okay? These guys are not about sharing, right? They're not about bowing off, right? Having that gentle gentleman's bow and then walking off into the sunset. These are as close to evil, as close to pure evil as you can imagine. Right? I don't prefer to use that word too much, but I think it's just the best way to describe these people. But again, that's all just part and parcel of our own evolution, of the planetary evolution that's going on. But these people are, again, to call them psychopaths would be an understatement. To call them psychotic would be an understatement. To call them sadistic and heartless and remorseless and merciless, right, without a gentle fiber in their being, would be a grand understatement. Okay, so basically, there's a lot of magic at work right now. There's a lot of preventative measures that would not enable them to do this, right? So I can't say if this is going to be the actual what they're planning to do with a scamdemic, a second scamdemic. If they are trying to do it, I'm pretty sure that was on the table. I don't really see that coming together. But as I said, nonetheless, we're going to put a net on it altogether. But what I'd like to look at, secondly, is taking a look and saying, well, is there actually going to be a scamdemic too, right? A second version of a plandemic that they're trying to do. Is that something that is actually going to come about? So we can take a look at that. So we will work with bringing a powerful thought form with source center vibration for the oceans and for the drinking water. But we're going to take a look at if there's another thing that they're trying to cook up relating to a second pandemic. Or let's just basically ask that question. Is there going to be a second pandemic that they're trying to create here that is imminent from happening? Okay, let's take a look. See what the cards say about that. Okay. So they are certainly trying to cook up another one. Okay, that is certainly what they're trying to do. They're about to plant seeds, right? They are trying to cook something up. It could be something in regards to the water supply. It could be something in regards to, again, trying to scare people about drinking water. Okay. But again, I don't think it's going to last. Okay, it's something that they're going to plan for. It's something that they're trying to get off the ground. But I don't think it's going to hit the ground running, right? I think it's going to have a hard time sticking because there's so much strength. And people just aren't fooled by this stuff anymore, right? I mean, we've gone through 3 years of a scamdemic already, and for people to think that they're just going to buy into this, it's not going to happen, right? But this is all, again, created out of fear. This is all, again, trying to get people to be afraid of drinking water, right? Don't drink water from your taps. There's new poisons. There's new viruses that are coming through drinking water. And oh my goodness, people who have been infected by this drinking water, they're going to have to be quarantined and they're going to have viruses and you're going to get all kinds of sicknesses because you're drinking your tap water or you're drinking other particular types of water and there's only other particular types of water you should be drinking. And it's them being able to capitalize on the water market, right? So like I said, COVID, it's all about the air, right? You got to be careful about the air that you're breathing. Right, it's the mask. You got to wear the mask because it's going to keep you safe, and then it's water hazards. Right? Okay, don't take a bath, or make sure you're not drinking water from your tap, or anything else of that stupidness. Okay, and that is basically what I feel that they're going to try. They're trying to. Right? I can't say 100% if this is going to fly or not. It doesn't look like it, but if they are, like I said, we're going to have that net available as well too, so that water itself will not be harmed to any country. Okay. So, but basically this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to pull off a second one, and it does feel like it's something involving water, right? So here's kind of like the life lesson here, and it's interesting that we're seeing the star pertaining to water being poured into the lake, okay? So it feels like there is a protection here, of course, happening. There's a protection, there's a transformation that is taking place right now, and I don't think that they're going to go very far with this. If they try to hit the ground running with this, it's like they're just going to be losing their footing almost at the same time. So this is why today we're going to go ahead and do this meditation and helping to take this subject pertaining to the protection of the Earth's oceans, the protection of the water supply that each and every single one of us drink, for every single country upon the planet, for every single human being, for every single animal, for all of nature that requires this water. There is going to be this highly charged net that we're going to create that will basically just be a thought form that we're manifesting up into higher grounds, and we're turning that into a net, and we're just shrouding the entire earth with this protective net that is saturated with the source center vibration. Okay, and it basically is a unification meditation that we're doing here to help protect the water here on the planet. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Let me just go ahead and put my cards away. So all we're going to do first and foremost, we're just going to do a bit of a warm-up. Okay, we're just going to do some heart rate variability breathing, and then we're going to get into the meditation itself. Then we're going to go into some Q&A, right, and see if you guys have any questions as well too. If there's certain areas that you want to look into as well, you'll have the opportunity to do that. I think I've already gotten a couple of donations on the chat, so I will look into those. Okay, and then we'll get into some more questions as well too. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to do some heart rate variability breathing. So just get yourself nice and relaxed, nice and comfortable. This is what I recommend. I recommend all of you guys who are watching right now to do this with me. There are strength in numbers, okay? That's what I recommend. So spine nice and straight. We're going to be breathing into the nose 4 seconds in, breathing out through the nose 6 seconds out. Okay, if you want to do a longer exhale, you're welcome to do that as well too. And we're going to do that a total of 10 times. Okay, so deep breath in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last time, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and relax. And now with your eyes closed, I want you just to look at the oceans of the world. Just like you have the ability to just fly above the earth, and you're just looking at all of the beautiful oceans of the planet. You're flying by, you're seeing the lakes, okay? You're seeing the ponds, you're seeing all these bodies of water. As you fly across land, you're seeing ponds, you're seeing lakes, you're seeing rivers. You're going out further, you see the oceans, you see the great seas. You see everything that represents the bodies of water upon the planet. And what I want you to do is I want you to give your impression, just an impression. It does not have to be a visualization or anything of that nature, but give your own impression, or rather your own intention, to preserve the waters of the planet. Okay? So I want you just to imagine right now that you're just feeling this invisible intention, right? It doesn't have a visualization. It doesn't have an image. It's just an invisible intention. It's that particular thought form itself that does not really have an image attached to it, but it has an intention. It's a thought of intention to preserve and to protect the bodies of water throughout the world. Okay? So no visualization, no imagery, just hold that intention. Okay? That intention to preserve and to protect the bodies of water of the world. Okay? And that's where I just want you to have that feeling. That intention is locked in when you have that feeling surrounding that intention. And just feel like I'm holding this ball right in between my hand here. Okay, or right above my hand here, I should say. Okay? And I want you just to put your intention inside that ball. Just feel like a chi ball is just hovering above my right hand here. And I want you all just to put that pure intention that you have locked in through your feeling to preserve and to protect the bodies of water of the world. To preserve and to protect the bodies of water of the world. Preventing them from any contamination, preventing them from any malicious deeds that would affect them, preventing them from any harm. And that we are putting this intention forward as you're just placing it inside this chi ball that is hovering above my hand right now. I want you all to do this. As soon as you have that feeling for that intention, just feel like, again, imagine that there's a invisible ball just above my hand right now, and I want you to put it inside. Whether you're putting it in physically or whether you're putting it in through intention, either is fine. But just put it in there, okay? We're just going to hang tight here just for a few more seconds. Okay, now I'm going to take that ball and I'm just starting to expand it. And I'm putting my own intention here to preserve and to protect the bodies of water throughout the world, preventing them from being harmed, preventing them from being contaminated, preventing them from being poisoned, and just preserving the purity of the bodies of water of the world, protecting the bodies of water of the world. Okay, it is done. All right. So everybody, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a retrospect of what I was doing. All right. So what you witnessed there was all of you just putting your intentions inside a chi ball. Okay. So what I can suggest as you guys start doing manifestation work, okay, a good thing to do is start working with that chi ball. Okay. Don't worry so much about visualization. Visualization can help to a certain degree. But the most important thing here that we're doing is that we're putting that strong intention based on the subject that we want to apply to the planet. Okay, so this can really be anything in that way. Whether it's something for yourself, whether it's something for your family, whether it's something for your friends, whether it's something for the world, whatever it may be. But all you're really doing is you're focusing on the subject of the intention. You're not focusing on the object. Okay, if we just start doing a bunch of visualization stuff, and basically what that's doing is that's limiting your manifestation to a vision. You're basically looking at a visual thought form. Okay? And those are very, very minute in regards to the capability of a powerful manifestation coming together. So rather what we're doing is we're just putting the intention. So the intention here pertaining to the subject was to protect and preserve the bodies of the water of the world. Okay? And we're just putting that together in this collective chi ball. And all I'm doing is I'm saturating that with the source center vibration, okay? Now, if you guys want to know how to apply the source center vibration into your manifestation, this is all you have to do, okay? So watch what I'm doing here, simply just with the right hand, okay? So with the right hand, all I'm doing is I'm touching my thumb, my index finger, and my middle finger together, okay? This is an old symbol, an old gesture that has been used for thousands of years. There's depictions of Jesus using this, depictions of great masters using this particular gesture. Okay? Do you know what this gesture means? It's often referred to as the one who knows, right? The one who knows all the secrets, the one who has all the knowledge. The reason why this is an important gesture is because this radiates the source center vibration. Okay? So what you're doing, this is one way of doing it. Another way is just bringing all three fingers together like this. Okay? So when you're doing your meditation, right, you have that chi ball in your hand and you have that intention. You can only do this with the right hand. You cannot do this with the left. Okay? The left will not bring the source center vibration for this. It has to be the right because that's how we're configured. That's how our body is built. Okay? That's how our energetics within our system here is constructed. Okay? So we're doing what's known as the one who knows gesture. I always refer to this as the source center vibration gesture. Okay? So as you have that ball, you're just breathing in and breathing out that source center vibration gesture. Okay, the other way to do it is another very, very simple thing that man has been doing since the beginning of man's time, right? Is Om chanting. Okay? The chanting of Om is also a source center vibration. Okay? So whether you're doing the one who knows, the source center vibration gesture, or you're Om chanting. Okay? You can either Om chant verbally or you can Om chant mentally. But you're just filling that ball with the source center vibration, and then you're just sending it up. Okay? Just send it up. And know it is brought into the ethers. Okay? So that's all you're doing. You are basically just focusing your intention on that chi ball. That intention is in there. You're filling it with the source center vibration. Om. Okay? And you'll just intuitively know when that ball is full of the source center vibration, and then just send it up. Send it up into the ether. And you're going to see that thing, that manifestation, that subject, come very, very quickly to you, okay? Because you are charging it with the center point. You are charging it with the unified vibration. Now, you're going to learn this very extensively through the Etherics Academy. I'm just teaching you guys right now the preschool, kindergarten basics relating to the source vibration here. But when you get into the Etherics Academy, you're going to learn how to do this and work with this on very advanced levels, okay? Because this is kindergarten. What I'm teaching you guys right now, this is nothing, okay? Just very, very simple. I can teach this to a 3-year-old, and they can do this, right? So you can work with this, working together through the power of your manifestation. So, to show you guys what we have just done by working with the preservation and the protection of the body of water, let's take a look at what we have done together, okay? About creating that net, creating that matrix net around the entire body of the earth, protecting the oceans and the bodies of water. So when I say the bodies of water, this is referring to ponds, this is referring to lakes, this is referring to rivers, this is referring to seas, this is referring to the oceans, okay? And we're going to see exactly what we did, okay? So let's take a look. So I just asked the tarot right now, with the meditation that we have just done, applying the source center vibration to a collective intention to preserve and to protect the lakes, the rivers, the ponds, the seas, the oceans of the planet. What effect has taken place now that we have done this? Okay, let's take a look. Very beautiful. Excellent. Good. Okay. So just doing a quick 3-card reading here. So, well, we've basically freed up a lot of space. This is kind of like the idea of restraints being taken off, right? We have the Fool, right? It's still going to be a bit of an uphill challenge, but we have really broken free of some restraints. We've really broken free of some chains. I feel like we've really broken free of certain timelines that we're trying to use the waters of the world for hideous agendas, okay? There is a fulfillment that is taking place here. I feel like if we have no particular event, we have at least softened it, okay? So we're seeing growth, we're seeing transformation, we're seeing new opportunities coming together, right? New plans, new ideas. Feels like this is something that we have done together to help shift the timeline, okay? And we're just gonna have to see how things go the next weeks, several weeks and several months ahead. But like I said, I feel like we need to continue to keep doing this with certain subjects that are coming up, with all these plans and ideas that we hear about that are brewing in the ethers, looking to come into physicality, right? But if we create a net, right, that net is what's going to help to prevent a lot of malicious agendas from happening, okay? And instead, they're going to try and do this, but like I said, it's almost like an instant karmic return, right? If they're trying to poison the waters, something's going to happen with their vessel. All of a sudden, their vessel now starts sinking, right? And it could be things like that, right? It's instant karmic return. It's like an Aikido principle, right? If you're trying to harm a person, there's that immediate takedown of the person, and they're being taken down by their own energy, right? Like a martial arts principle altogether, right? They start using all this malice, all this force, but they get caught, and it basically just turns back around, and before they know it, they're flat on the ground, they're looking up at the lights. So that is really what's looking to happen here, is we're going to spend some time over these next few weeks through the webcasts as well too, to build a grid, okay? And you guys are going to work with me to build a new grid. We're going to create a protection and preservation matrix grid that will work together in the higher planes that are going to help clear away a lot of these malicious intents of agendas so that we can clear it away altogether so humanity can get on with themselves. We don't have to keep spending so much time dealing with psychopaths, and we can start healing the planet. All right? So that is really what we're going to be working with between now and the next several weeks here throughout the webcasts, both on the Signposts and New Earth TV Live. Okay? So we're going to do some more work on New Earth TV Live tomorrow as well. So again, guys, thank you very much for joining me with that. I hope you were participating with that, and that you too are also feeling a difference. Okay, so we're going to go to some Q&A right now. So again, I do have some donations here, guys. Thank you so much. Debbie, I got your $50. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Okay, I do have a question here from Gijo Matthew, and I got some other donations too, so I'll get to you guys here very shortly. And then after donations, we'll check out with other questions here. Gijo says, Dear Adronis, the Earth is round, but is the universe flat? Is it similar to a computer hard disk, which is a rectangle and can hold 3D shapes? Okay, so with all respect, Matthew, I don't really need to bring Adronis into this because he's already discussed this extensively, okay? You have to get out of this aspect of thinking that things are flat, okay? Because what you're doing is you're giving no volume to that which has volume, right? You're trying to compress that which has space, okay? Now, space, of course, is not a property, but everything that represents life, you need to start looking at it much more in its geometrical harmonics, okay? And this is what Adronis has talked about. This is why I don't really need to bring him in, because he's talked about this subject almost to death, right? A multitude of times. But basically, in that sense, if I'm using this as a particular example of geometry, okay? If I try to make this flat, then it loses so much of its substance. If I try to basically bring this into a two-dimensionality, I'm missing so much information pertaining to what this object is trying to show me, okay? And that is the problem with so many people that are into these flat theories. I'm not even just going to say the Earth, but just thinking that everything else is flat. And guys, it's not, right? I can't try to tell you something that is not true, okay? About thinking that everything needs to be two-dimensional, that everything needs to be flat in that way. Now, everything can really be brought forward into the nature of a dot, right? You can look at the idea that a point, that point in this essence, in this analogy, can represent the nature of the center. Now, the center really does not have a dignified or a noticeable space within it, as it were, that would represent something that we could locate. But everything emerges from the center. Okay? We have to understand the true nature of magnetism. Okay? When you look at magnetism, nothing of the sort pertains to a two-dimensionality flatness to it. When you're looking at the magnetism of life, you're looking at a torus field. Okay? Gijo Matthew, I want you to look up a torus field, a toroidal field. Okay? If you're watching right now, I'd like you to look that up. When you look at that, do you see something that is flat? Do you see something that is two-dimensional? No, you are seeing volume here, right? You're seeing that expression of a full geometry. And in the middle of the toroidal field, the torus, we have the hyperboloid. We have the hourglass. But what is very important is at the center of that hourglass, and that is the ether, okay? So the ether is dimensionless. It is formless. It is material-less. It has absence. It's nothing that we can identify, right? All that we do know about the ether is that it is infinite, which means it has the infinite capability to bring about all energy once it has been tampered with, once it has been perturbated, okay? Once it has distortions, once it has disturbances, the ether folds invertedly. It folds upon itself, and it creates that geometrical harmonic that we would know as the torus field, where the hyperboloid inside the torus field is a negative image of the torus. And when you're flipping the torus inside out, its negative image would represent that of the hyperboloid. Okay? Hyperboloid is the hourglass. Torus field is like that overinflated kind of balloon type shape. Okay? The medium in between the hourglass and the magnet and the torus field is the sphere. Okay? The sphere is like the bridge, the hybrid, the medium between the two. Okay? That is the nature of life. Okay? I really don't care what person says, oh, come on, bro, the Earth's flat, the universe is flat, everything's just flat. Sorry, man. It's not how it works. Okay? Because the universe will deny you of that. Because what I'm basically telling you guys here is something factual. Okay? The factual nature of life revolves around the hyperboloid and the torus field. Nikola Tesla mentioned this to people. Okay? Great minds like Nikola Tesla over the centuries have admitted this. And other people in that sense who think that they're smarter than Nikola Tesla or any of these other masterminds are really kind of deluding themselves. This is not about flatness. This is not about two-dimensionality. Really, when you look at the ether, Adronis has talked about this too. When he talks about the nature of the ether, the analogy he uses is imagine fluid, imagine the ocean, right? Imagine the waters of the universe, right? Because again, when you invert it, there's a type of inversion that comes together that you could look at on a fluidic basis. But truthfully, the ether is not fluid, right? It has nothing that we can identify with. The closest analogy we can give it is something that may be fluidic, something that may be oceanic, something that may represent water in that way. But again, it represents perturbations. Everything representing thought is a perturbation. Everything representing a conception, an idea, an invocation, a conception is a perturbation. It is a rippling of the waves of the water, right? But the waves are not a thing. That's just a perturbation of the analogy, calling the ether an ocean in that way. Okay, so whenever we have magnetism, it is the result of the dielectric magnetic relationship that has created a perturbation utilizing the analogy of the ether being the ocean, where you're seeing these rippling effects. Okay, magnetism is basically the catalyst to making all life what it is here in this universe. If that magnetic field is not there, then the object pertaining to what the magnetic field shrouds will not exist in this universe. Which means if you give it a large enough charge, that particular object shrouded by the magnetic field, the magnetism is discharged. It's discharged by a dielectric discharge altogether like a lightning bolt. And that object will simply vanish from this universe. Okay? A lot of scientists have said that you can never destroy energy. Energy can only be transferred or moved. That is a lie. Okay? And if you don't believe me, you can talk to electricians. Right? You can talk to electricians who basically handle generators, and they will tell you that there are interference patterns through these arcs of electricity that will just vanish. They'll just vanish into thin air. Right? The idea of energy incapable of being destroyed is a lie. Okay? Energy can be destroyed. So, again, talk to an electrician. They'll tell you all about it, right? But this is basically what's happened. This is the new science, and the only person who's really giving really good technical information about all of this information is Ken Wheeler. Okay? Theoria Apophysis, his YouTube channel. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant man. Okay? And I've learned a lot from him. I've talked to him, right? I've looked into a lot of this stuff. He's kind of an acquired taste, I know, but his information is absolutely brilliant. Okay, and he's right on the mark. Like my intuition is saying, he is right on the mark. He is 100% correct with everything he's saying pertaining to magnetism and the dielectric field. Okay, so G. Joe Matthew, if you want to know the true nature of the universe, you need to start looking into magnetism. You need to start looking into the nature of the ether. Okay, you need to start looking at the magnetic field, the dielectric field, and the ether all together. Then you will know what the universe truly is, but you will not find it through flatness. Okay? That's what I can share because Adronis has talked about this consistently with the nature of using the ether as an analogy pertaining to water. Okay? Thank you very much. So this is from Karen Fish, another donation. Thank you, Karen. Karen says, hello, Brad. Adronis mentioned it's impossible to leave Earth. So what about the testimonies of those returned from Mars or other space programs? So why don't I go ahead and bring Adronis in this one, because he can elaborate on this a little bit further, pertaining to people who have supposedly left Earth and gone into these secret space programs. Okay, one moment. Take a glass of water first. And they got quite a few donations, guys, so I'll get back to some donation questions right after this one. Here we go. Terra Soul Star Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast through your internet collective consciousness. What we'd like all of you to do at this time is simply allow yourselves to get relaxed, get comfortable, and tune in to the vibrations of Sirius, so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all of the information that we have to share. Also understand that all of the information that we shall provide today is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very hearts, beings, and souls. We want to thank the one known as Karen for the question pertaining to others who have claimed to be within a particular type of secret space program, and that it is not possible for a particular human to leave the Earth and perhaps have a little bit more clarity in regards to what we mean pertaining to this idea. Well, you are fundamentally correct, Karen. There have been those in that sense that have been recruited for off-world duty. However, this is why they have certain technologies that enable them to return them back into their human life at a certain point. Therefore, confirming to what we are saying, that you cannot just leave the Earth and go off-world. If that was your case, you would not have incarnated on the Earth in the first place. That's what we're saying. As an incarnate, your contract is to the planet that you are born on. Now, you may have certain off-world tendencies, again, that are leading you karmically into fulfilling certain matters that may relate to off-world assistance. Those particular matters will be taken care of, but again, as there is technology that enables the idea of the host themselves to fulfill what they are meant to fulfill within the allotted amount of time pertaining to those ventures off-world, will therefore be, as it were, reset back, dilated back into a point of time, where they will therefore operate efficiently back into their Earth incarnation. You see? So there really is nothing in regards to a human basically being taken off planet to feel that they are, in that sense, just going to live out the rest of the days in the space and then not return. So that's not what we're saying. Now, Adronis, is it true that there have been certain humans that have been taken off planet and have been brought forward into some type of galactic slave trade? Yes, there have. All right? And this is what we would term as a violation. All right? And this is, again, what's happening within your star system, is just as many of you are starting to see the busting of many of these traffic rings that are taking place on your planet, as too are there also the busting of these interstellar slave trade rings that are also being taken down. Because it is true, fundamentally. It really is not in any particular way viable for a human to be taken off planet, not to return. And if anything like that happens, that would be a violation, you see. But for the idea of what you term as those who are in the secret space program, or again, certain affiliations of a secret space program, they have a certain leeway to perform what they're meant to perform for an allotted amount of time, to where they refer back into a particular dilation point on the earth, where they are returned back into a regressed state of their youth. And that all that really can be found through them are the memories that may come in here and there pertaining to where they feel like they have been off-world. It almost feels like a dream. It may almost feel in that sense like a post-hypnotic suggestion. It does feel like it is being ingrained in memory to take it even further, but they still really can't put their finger on it. They have these vivid experiences, but many of them may dismiss it as dreams, a type of hypnosis. But they see how they are here on this earth, and that's the dilation that we're talking about. So, nonetheless, you end up back here on the planet when you decide to, in that way, if it is part of your life plan, to therefore go off planet and therefore assist in any particular type of off-world affairs, where that when the dilation happens and you return back onto the planet in a younger form once again, these just appear as memories. All right? But you still have to play out your Earth life because you are contracted here. Going back into any humans that have been, as it were, abducted off this planet, yes, this has happened. It has taken place. There have been slave trades happening intergalactically with a good amount of humans that have taken off this planet. And as we stated, that is a violation. Adronis, what will happen to those who have been taken off planet and are, as it were, rescued? They will go through dilation. They will go back into the moment of time where they were taken off planet and reseated back upon that planet, on this planet, together through that nature of time dilation that we refer to. The ones that are retrieved, the ones that are again going through dilation, returning back into the moment of time prior to the point of their abduction. Some of you may have memories of that. You may have memories where you feel like you're being taken off planet and you're seeing these strange creatures. You're seeing these strange beings. And you can see yourself being part of some type of slave trade. But something took place, you were rescued, and all you may see is just a flash of light, and now comes dilation. Dilation returns you back into the exact point to where you were prior to the point of abduction. So once these particular humans are discovered, once they are rescued, they return back into the dilation principle that we're referring to. That's the idea. It is very important that you as an incarnate are working together with your planet. That's what you have signed up for. And yes, we understand that there are certain karmic clauses that may take you off the planet for a certain amount of time, but nonetheless, that work needs to be accomplished here because you are tethered to the earth. That is all part of the incarnation makeup. That is you being a part of her body. That's like taking cells out of your own body, and those cells just simply aren't going to last. They are going to die away without the host body because they are calibrated for that host, just as you are calibrated for the host earth. All right? We hope this has brought a little bit more clarity to the subject. We thank you very much. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Karen, for your question. So let's go down the list here. I'm just looking for remote donations. I saw a couple of them coming in. So just give me a moment as I scroll down the list here. Okay, Kay Levine, I got your $20 donation. Thank you for that. Okay, and Debbie, thank you for your donation. I got yours as well. And Naran here has a question and a donation. Naran says, Brad, what about 23rd of September? Is there any special event that can happen? Well, guys, as I've talked about, please don't set your hats on dates, okay? You have to be very, very careful with the nature of that. So you're looking much more into the nature of the equinox that's coming up, right? So you're looking into an equinox transformational time. Now again, as I've talked about, these are gateways. Okay, these are opportunities of large, you could say openings, apertures that are coming together, and there will be new doors opening and old doors closing. A lot of it may represent the idea of political agendas, financial agendas. Yes, everything's really going to get impacted there. But what's happening is it's kind of like looking at a honeycomb, and you're seeing one of these cells really just starting to open up wider and basically distribute this light into the entire center of the honeycomb itself, where things now start to get brighter, where things now start to change, where everything starts to shift. Okay? Naran, I've been asked these kind of questions for the past 15 years. Every single time a solstice, an equinox, a lunar phase, or any other particular type of astrological event comes forward, people are asking me questions. What about that? Guys, you have to stop looking at these pertaining to the date itself. You need to start looking at the time beforehand, during, and afterwards. Okay? But you also have to understand that life gives everything pertaining to change so seamlessly that you will not notice. It's not like a glitch that is so outlandish that you know it's happening. Okay? And so much is happening on the planet right now, we really couldn't put our fingers on what those things will be. Okay? Yes, there's going to be change in leadership. Yes, there's going to be old leaders exposed. Yes, there's going to be financial changes. Yes, there's going to be economic shifts. Yes, there's going to be change in behavior. There's going to be change in mood. But you have 8 billion people on this planet, Naran. Okay? We can't keep track of all of that. So the best thing to do is just be aware of your own space. Let's see what's happening in your own life and what's changing through you. Okay, as these times happen, because you're basically just referring to the cusp of the the autumnal equinox, right? The autumnal equinox that's looking to happen. So through those times, those are always blur points. Those are blur points to where the physical world and the spirit world are getting closer together. There's a blurring, and there is again a capability of more transformations taking place that when they unblur, there's going to be monumental changes that will take place. And this is exactly what we're talking about today, about a lot of these significant changes, okay? But guys, please do not hang your hats on dates, okay? They just don't work, right? I've known this for over 15 years, right? Playing with dates, and they rarely have anything special about that day. You want to look at the time beforehand, during, and afterwards, and then start seeing things. So basically you have to look at segments rather than the idea of dates, okay? Thank you, Naran, for your question. All right, let's go up the list here a bit more. We're going to go into some general questions right now, as I believe I've covered all of the donation questions. Okay. So here's one from Asher. Asher says, "Hi, Brad. I have a question for Adronis. When asked how they are, they usually reply by saying that they are perfect. What does it mean for them to be perfect?" Okay, good question. So, Asher, I will go ahead and bring Adronis in, and he can share some light on your question. All right, here we go. We thank you very much, Asher, for your question. Well, you may ask us how we're doing, and we may at times say either wonderful, and we mean that in somewhat of a playful way, because we're saying it in the way of O-N-E, derful, wonderful. And at times we may also say the word perfect. Now, why do we say that? Why do we say that we're perfect? Because many humans will look at their life and say, oh my goodness, it's far from perfect. Well, you have to look exactly first to understand why life seems imperfect for you to then understand why it can be perfect. Right? What makes life imperfect? Can anyone tell us? The involvement of suffering is the illusion of what you feel makes life imperfect. Your ability to suffer is what is causing you to get the impression that life, quote unquote, sucks, that life is imperfect, that life is conflicting, that life is hell. It's all because you have adopted yourselves into the states of suffering. Now, when you are going through suffering, you will never be able to see the center. You are always skewed off to the right. You are skewed off to the left. You're skewed up here, you're skewed down here, you're skewed back here, you're skewed ahead here. You're either living too further ahead into the imagination of the future, or you're too bogged down by the memories and the feelings of the past. And that's what you're doing. And you're flip-flopping between the past and the future. Past and the future. Memory, imagination. Memory, imagination. When have you ever been present? When have you ever come to center? Because when you are in the center, Asher, guess what happens? You are in perfection. Because time cannot touch you when you are present. Space cannot touch you when you are present. Matter cannot touch you when you are present. You are simply in the flow of the life stream, which is truly timeless, spaceless, without matter, without conflict, without karma. You are perfect in the center. So when we come to you and we speak to you in this way, we come to you from the center. And through the center is perfection. And through perfection, all is here and now. The one is here and now. And that is where we reside. We abide in the center. Because if you are out of center, you are suffering. And as long as you are suffering, you will see everything as imperfect. You will see everything as flaw. You will see everything as conflict. You will see everything as a living hell. Just trying to survive. Trying to make ends meet. Worrying about yourself. Worrying about your family. Worrying about your friends. Worrying about the state of the world. Constantly worrying about all these things because you have engaged yourself in suffering. You have taken yourself out of the center and you're just skewing yourself everywhere. It's like a person with a felt marker and they're just skewing the felt marker all across the whiteboard. And they have not come back to center. They're running around, they're performing loop-de-loops, they're bouncing themselves around, they're banging into things. And they have not realized what it is to be perfect. And the ability to be perfect is to be here. It is to be in the eye of the storm. It is to be in the center. It is to be in the nexus of your own being. It is to be. For when you know how to be, you will know perfection. And that is what we can share about it. Therefore, when we come forward and we say that, and you may ask us, Adronis, how are you doing? We are perfect. Thank you. How are you? Oh, I'm doing okay. Well, again, that's showing us that you're skewed. If you come and you meet to us and saying, Adronis, I too am perfect, and we see it, and we see that you're in the center with us, no words need even be exchanged. It's just the presence of being that is the reward. That, our dear human family, is perfection. All right? Thank you for your question. Okay, great. So Asher, I hope that answers your question. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Mihail. Mihail has a question here. Question, will Russia conduct more military operations in years ahead? Okay. So it's kind of a broad question, but we'll take a look and see. We can't really look too much in the years ahead. We can look more so in the weeks and the months ahead. I don't really go anywhere past 6 months. Right? So that's just a reminder for you guys. Number one, please don't ask me personal questions. Those are for private sessions. Number two, try not to ask any particular type of questions pertaining to possibility of future outcome that would extend past 6 months. Okay? I basically just look at no longer than a 6 month because everything just changes so fast, right? It cannot really uphold itself past a 6 month window. So let's try and keep these ideas of sharings to the idea of a probable outcome 6 months or under. Okay, but let's take a look at, will Russia conduct more military operations within the perceivable time ahead under 6 months? Okay, See what comes up. Okay, well, they are on guard. Okay, so there's going to be some military operations that are going to take place, yes. And like I said, they're really watching the entire planet. They're watching everything that's taking place right now pertaining to the old misers, to the old regime, okay? And the old regime is getting access denied constantly, right? Everything that they're trying to really bring about that is going to try and rekindle their foundations are just constantly being broken down, right? They're getting this cosmic stamp. And Russia is one of those catalysts that are basically shooting them down. It's as I've talked about before, guys. This is something that goes back, I think maybe like a year or two ago, where I was talking about the history of Khazaria, okay? And this is basically what you're looking at. You're looking at an old, ancient Khazarian mafia. And Russia was one of the countries that really slapped them around, going back many centuries. And basically Khazaria, which was formerly known as the Ukraine, was basically a country of misfits. It was a country of criminals. It was a country of bandits, of thieves, of murderers. Right? Anybody that walked in that country would get mugged, would get assaulted, would get killed. Right? It was just a very low base country. And there were many visitors from the surrounding regions that would go to Khazaria, and they basically just had enough of all of these bandits and thieves and criminals and psychopaths and murderers that were constantly attacking everybody who was trying to go to and fro the territory. And so Russia, in association with many other countries, basically decided to invade Khazaria because they gave them many warnings. You need to stop this. You need to clean up your country. Otherwise, we're going to be taking some action here. They did not listen, and so there was an invasion. That invasion is basically what crippled Khazaria altogether. Khazaria was basically crippled, but a lot of the riffraff, where you could say almost like the royal figures out of Khazaria, were basically migrating over into the west, and this is what led to a lot of the turmoil that led into corruption of the royal family, led into corruption that led into the complete and total genocide of North America, and all of these other things that were taking place. It's all been led by these Khazarian mafia psychopaths, okay? And so basically this is something that has been growing for several hundreds of years between Khazaria and Russia. You always notice that when it comes to the Western side, when it comes to Western politics, they're always on Russia's case, right? Russia is their greatest enemy. Why is Russia their greatest enemy? Because Russia was the one that basically bitch slapped them to the point where their entire empire fell. What was once their great Khazaria was completely destroyed because of Russia. Okay? And they have nothing but a vendetta towards Russia since that time. And they will try to make Russia out to be the most relentless psychopaths they could ever try to convey, right? Through their media and through everything else. Russia's this and Russia's horrible and Putin's this and Putin's horrible and oh they're horrible, they're psychopaths and they're gonna try and take over the whole world and they want war and blah blah blah. And it's quite the opposite. Right? And I've talked about this for quite some time, that really I would say Russia is the light of the world. Okay? Basically when you're looking at the great turnaround, where it would really be the flag that's being waved for the counterforces, you would look towards Russia. Okay? Russia is actually the one that is more so leading the charge of the counterforce regime than anything else. Okay? They are basically the ones that are going to be the main catalyst that is going to clean up the old psychopaths from the face of this earth. It's really going to fall to Russia to do that. Are they doing military campaigns? Absolutely. Guys, they are fighting fire with fire. There's no doubt about that. This is all part of a spiritual war that's taking place. It's being brought forward in the physical, but it's also taking place in the spiritual. Okay? And a lot of the Russian forces are again playing their game, right? They're playing chess with these guys, make no mistake about it, right? They can be pretty brutal as well too, make no mistake about it. But they are the ones that are basically the essence of the waving of the counterforce flag, and that is Russia. Okay? Russia would really represent the core of the counterforces. That's their nature. That's what they're here to do. Even Edgar Casey would talk about this in his readings. that all hopes would lie in the light of Russia. Okay? Russia is really the ones who are the cleaners here. They're the ones that are cleaning up the riffraff. They're the ones who are really going to be cleaning out the seabed here of the filth. And like I said, they're going to play it in pretty devious games as well too. They're going to be cunning, okay? And they're not going to play clean as well, but basically they are cleaning it up, right? It's a dirty job, but they've decided to do it. And they're not just basically being these heavenly angels and just, shining light upon them and playing a ukulele or anything of that nature, right? They're going to go right into the trenches with them, and they can be quite devious themselves. But nonetheless, that's really what they've signed up for, right? The light of the transformation that is taking place on the planet right now is really being led by a full head of steam by Russia. Okay, you guys may not agree with me on that, and that's fine. But this is something I've known now for quite some time, that Russia really is the driving force behind the counterforces. Okay, so take that for what it's worth, but that's what's happening. So will they conduct more military operations? Absolutely. Absolutely. They're always going to stand guard. They're always going to be watching what the KM have been doing, the old regime has been doing, and they're going to be several steps ahead of them. They already are, right? And a lot of the allied forces that are together with Russia, because guess what, guys? Do you know why Russia is getting so powerful? Because they're constantly working with off-worlders and have been working with off-worlders for centuries. Not just a few decades like the United States. The United States didn't start working with the Greys until about the 1940s. Russia have been working with the Venusians. They've been working with the inner Earth populations. They've been working with mixed alliances throughout the cosmos for centuries. Okay? Russia is much more experienced as a country than any other country that exists. Okay? They have so much backing of technologies. They have so many hidden secrets. They have so many gems that if they wanted to, the technology that they have would take out the KM just like that, right? And it's not hard for them. But they basically, again, it's like I said, guys, it's a chess game, right? You have their knight, their king, in the corner of the board. They're not doing anything. They're just kind of keeping their pieces right here. Okay, come on, make a move. Do it. Come on. Go ahead, make a move. Like, should I make a move? Should I make a move? Right? That's what's happening here. It's all being done with great restraint. If Russia wanted to, they could take a lot of their secrets that are not only extraterrestrial reverse engineered, but extraterrestrial given. Okay? Which means there's no reverse engineering involved. The technology is ready to go. And they could basically start unleashing this technology, and with a snap of a finger, KM's gone. But they don't want to do that because they're basically being guided by these higher forces. No. You have to let them play these games out. You have to let them make these moves because this is what's helping to evolve the planet. If we just snap our fingers and all of a sudden the KM is gone, nothing's going to be, no reward is going to come out of that. No gain is going to come out of that pertaining to the evolution of humanity, right? Humanity has to see exactly what these dark forces have been doing to the planet, right? So this is why it needs to be done in stages. And so they're being governed by a lot of these off-worlders. These off-worlders are very much higher ups in the higher planes, okay? I've talked about the human guardians. The human guardians are one of them, but there's even higher echelons of hierarchies that represent cosmic unions that are working very specifically with Russia. Okay, Russia has centuries of intervention-based assistance from off-worlders, way longer than the United States, right? And these ones that are working with Russia, way more advanced than the Greys. Okay, so this is what I mean. Russia has always been kind of like the king of the mountain, right? But like I said, they will get dirty. They will get into the grime. They will get into the muck, and they will play their game. So if you want us to go in there, fine. We'll wrestle you in the mud. It's no problem, okay? Because like I said, if they have to be the counter forces to the idea of the dark forces, and that's exactly what they're going to be. But they always strategically put these things together. It's quite brilliant, okay? So that's why I say it. And it's not like they're a bunch of white knights. They're more gray hat than everything else. But nonetheless, that's what they're doing. Okay, so it really comes down to the catalyst of the counterforces being Russia. That's the idea. Okay. Other countries will follow, but Russia is really the one that's leading the charge right now. All right. Okay. Again, guys, just my perspective, just my point of view. So you can agree with me or not, but that's the perspective I'm going with. Okay, let's go down the list here a bit more. Okay. So just give me a moment here, guys. I'm just reading through the lists right now. We're probably got about another 10 or 15 minutes before we wrap up. So good questions so far, guys. You guys have been doing awesome today, right? Really good questions from all of you. I'm just getting a lot of comments in the chat right now, so I'm still looking for some questions, but okay, there's one here from FDY Malik. FDY Malik says, "Hi Brad, I know you keep saying to not listen to the media or social." No, guys, I'm not saying for you not to listen, right? I would just say that if you're looking at the media and the social media to give you answers, you're really just not going to find them, right? I'm just giving you the idea that really represents the results of these things. If you guys want to spend your entire day looking at the media and social media, go for it. I'm not going to tie you down and say you can't, but I am basically telling you you're mostly wasting your time, okay? Take that for what it's worth, because the only truth you're going to find is in here. Anyways, continuing on with your question. But this one got me. Do you think we will go back to a lockdown again? This is what I was talking about at the beginning of today's broadcast, okay? It's exactly why we put that net around the planet. Like I said, we're going to continue to build it up over the next several weeks. We're going to do that live in a living person here, okay? Through the webcasts, through the signposts, and through tomorrow through New York TV Live, which will also be at 10 a.m. Pacific as well too. They are certainly trying to make another lockdown happen. Yes. Okay. Will they succeed? If it does, it's going to be very short-lived, right? If they do try to make a lockdown happen, it will not stretch out as long as COVID did, right? If they're trying to do it, I think it's almost going to get debunked very, very quickly. And that's exactly, like I said, why we're putting this net up, right? Because if they're trying to harm anything on the planet, it's almost like it's the martial arts principle, right? It's the idea of you throwing a very violent fist and then just being flipped over and knocked over to the ground, looking up at the lights, and you're down, okay? And that's really what we're doing. The net is the martial arts principle, right? It's taking the power and strength and momentum of the attacking opponent and turning it against them. And before they know it, they flip over, they hit the ground, they're looking up at the lights, knowing what the heck happened. So that, again, is what we refer to as an instant karmic return. It's like a martial arts principle where you have a martial artist, right, an aikido, a jiu-jitsu specialist, right, grabbing a hand and just flipping the guy right over, using his own center of gravity against him, taking him down on the ground, looking up. Okay? That's what we're doing with the net. Okay? And that's basically what I could refer to it as, is basically looking at the source center vibration net that we're creating. Right? We're going to create that together. I'm going to do that live right in front of your faces because you guys are going to help do it. Okay? We're going to build this net together. And we're going to do that every single week for as long as I do these webcasts. Okay? Until once I feel that net is very, very strong, we're creating it together. Okay? So it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Thank you again. So like I said, when you're talking about the lockdown, I would even say almost no. But like I said, I know how desperate they are, so they are going to try to do something. Okay, I just don't think it's going to stick in the way that COVID stuck. Okay, so if they do try it, I don't think it'll last very long. It's going to be much more of a karmic implosion than anything else if they tried to make that happen. But like I said, we're working here to protect the world's oceans because basically the feeling of the virus is that they're trying to make it happen through water, right? Water feels like that's what they're trying to do. Don't drink your drinking water, right? Don't drink water from home. Right, you got to buy these expensive bottles and blah, 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 blah. We have to like specially treated water and all that stuff. And it's, again, more greed, right? So just be aware of that. Maybe it will not happen. I'm hoping it doesn't. But if that does happen, if that's the catalyst, then you guys know right there's BS, right? There's another psyop. There's another scamdemic. They're going to try and do it through water, okay? So that's why we're going to work to preserve and protect the oceans. Okay. Going down the list here a bit more. Okay, here's one from Daniel Brown. Daniel says, "Hi Brad, can Adronis comment on how appropriate a meat-based diet, such as carnivore, is for optimal health. Thank you. All right, one moment. We thank you very much, Daniel, for your question. As it relates to what many of you have termed as the carnivore diet, all right? It really depends upon the body type. It really depends in regards to the severity of the person in question, in regards to how they feel that they need to treat their body in regards to its nature of sickness. Now, the idea of carnivore simply because you are eliminating many different faculties that may represent sickness in the body. But what happens in that sense, and this is more so referring to the long term of eating meat, being carnivorous in that way, you are going to be much more prone to inflammation, all right? Especially around the areas of digestion. If you have it much more in the long term, we would say 6 months plus. Now, we're not saying this for every single human being, but quite commonly this can happen, is that if you're having it for well over a period of 6 months, it can be the idea that there will be inflammation in the digestion, there will be inflammation in the joints, and there will be other forms in that sense pertaining to damage of the blood that can take place, because it also depends upon the quality of the meat that you are eating. So, in the short term, it may be efficient for certain people to work together with carnivore, because therefore you are eliminating certain other forms of content within your body that may be causing you to feel ill. But if you are again working with this in the long term, you could expect inflammation. You could expect inflammation of digestion, inflammation of the stomach. This actually helps, or shall we say, this actually causes a great deal of, shall we say, restriction of stomach acids. Having too much meat. It impacts the stomach acid blend within your stomach. It affects the glands of your stomach, utilizing this in the long term. It affects the integrity of your intestines. And if you already have bacteria that is questionable in your intestinal tract, meat will actually fuel that. That's something you need to be aware of. It also can quite commonly contaminate the liver if you're doing it in the long term. Meat really, in regards to that all you're eating is meat, really would not be the best way to look at this in the long term. Short term, it may assist. Long term, you could be looking at much more detrimental effects. Because really, and we have said this many times before, humanity really has much more of an alignment to being a herbivore species. Now, some of you have decided to eat meat, and some of you in that sense have enabled your bodies to be a little bit more aligned to meat eating, and that's fine. But really in that sense, when you're looking into the anatomy of the human being, you are much more natural herbivores than anything else. That's just simply the fact of the matter. And if you are having problems with the nature of consuming herbs, of consuming spices, of consuming vegetables, of consuming fruits, everything that represents the non-meat forms of food, then this would represent, again, certain forms of infections and toxicities that your own science has not discovered. And a lot of this has to do with radiation. A lot of this has to do with airborne toxicity. A lot of this has to do with a poor immune system. A lot of it has to do with a sluggish liver. All right? So as you start to thoroughly clean yourself out, primarily energetically, to which we would imply drinking a lot of water, drinking a lot of lemon water, working in hydrating your body, in being able to irrigate systems, being able to perform meditation, being able to work with your own natural prana, and being able to scrub out the organs by just envisioning, shall we say, prana spheres, chi balls, putting it into your organs, moving them clockwise 10 to 15 times per day. As you start to do that, you are encouraging circulation within the organs. You are encouraging the natural shape of the organ to heal itself by just running through your breath the energies of a chi ball, taking that chi ball, placing it into an organ, and rubbing it 10 to 15 times as you breathe in, as you breathe out, and continuing to do that with every major organ in your body. This is what's enabling pranic circulation to flow through the natural shape, the natural geometry of the organ to encourage circulation to take place, which will completely and totally purge any toxicity, any other forms of impurities contained within the organ, so that you are no longer sick. That's what we would suggest. 10 to 15 times, breathing in, breathing out, moving in a clockwise direction for each organ, and being able to do this daily. That is what is going to bring significant improvement to your body, so that everything is primarily digestible. But if you're having problems in regards to even sticking to a herbivore diet, we would say that your body is extremely sick. Simple as that. It really does not even need to come down to the point where you need to be carnivorous, even for a short time. It's basically telling us that your body is sick and you have not been taking care of it, and your organs are heavily compromised. Your glands are compromised. Your bodily systems are compromised. Your lymph systems are compromised. Your nervous system is compromised because of toxicity, because of poisons, because of contaminations, because of conditioning. And as you start clearing all that out through your body, just as we've suggested, that's what's going to help you in the long run to therefore move into much more digestible, easy to digest foods, which meat is not. Meat is very difficult for your body to digest. So this is why, again, many of you who favor the carnivorous diet will often do it improperly. You'll start eating very large slabs of meat, and your body gets backed up, and before you know it, you feel sluggish, you feel exhausted, because you are consuming too much. If you are consuming a small amount, it will not feel so bad. But again, if you're consuming a great deal of this meat, and many of you overdo it, you are basically creating a type of poisoning within yourself. It's much more important to realize, too, that if you are actually eating meat, it would be much more favorable to look into the consuming of organs rather than the consuming of tissue meats. Tissue meats hold natural toxins within them and can cause your body to therefore be compromised pertaining to its immune system with the idea of how the animal is put down. And how that animal is put down and all that fear that is coming through the animal is contributed directly into the tissue meats that many of you commonly eat in your grocery stores. And even your indigenous people knew this, that when they consumed an animal, they would go for the organs and not the tissues. The tissues are where all the poisons are. And many of you are consuming the poisons of the animals, not the organs. The organs are where the nutrients are. The organs are where the minerals are. Now, another important factor as well, too, is making sure you are receiving the basic minerals each day, because many of you are deprived. You basically may have soil that, again, is not producing appropriate mineralization for the fruits and the vegetables that you consume. And as you are greatly lacking in the minerals, the body itself goes through complications. So therefore, this is why we say it's not really important to look at a carnivorous diet, but it's much more important to look at mineralization. If you do decide to move into meat, look into the nature of organs and not tissues. Look into the nature of having your minerals, of having nutrition, because it is really minerals here that matters. It is the mineralization of your body that actually helps to bring your own living prana into a higher potency. It's not through eating tissues of meat. In the long term, that is going to poison you. That is what's going to create inflammation. That's what's going to cause problems with your joints. That's what's going to cause problems with your nervous system. That's what's going to cause breakdowns in your system by constantly, for the long term, eating tissue meats. It's not good. All right? That's why many of you, again, are suffering in this way, because you have neglected the basic principle of mineralizing yourselves. Get the minerals in your body. Work with your magnesium, work with your vitamins, your vitamin A, your vitamin B, your vitamin C, your vitamin D, your vitamin E. Get your zinc in there. Get your potassium. right? So look into everything that represents the common allotment of essential minerals every day, because that is appropriate, and making sure you're getting it. That's what's going to prevent you from being sick, because it is all those minerals that your organs need to continue to function properly. And many of you don't drink enough water, and so you're constipated, and meat aids to constipation. So meat can make you sick if you are eating nothing but tissue meats for the long term. Short term, it might be okay. Long term, it can be very damaging. So please, what we would suggest is get to talk to your body. Learn to body talk. Learn to communicate with your body, because your body will tell you exactly what it needs. If you are unable to do that, look into the idea, firstly, of getting all the basic essential minerals daily into your body. Make sure you are drinking enough water to irrigate the canals of the body. We would suggest looking into lukewarm, warm, or even hot water, drinking at least 2 cups of those per day to irrigate your system. All right? So, yes, there have been people talking about carnivore. If you're eating much more of the organs, then this will be much more of a benefit for you. If you are not, you are slowly poisoning yourself. That's what we can share in regards to the subject. All right? We thank you very much. Okay. So yes, Adronis has always been about the idea of us being a herbivore species, right? Not really so much in the meat. He's never been, mad or anything about a person who eats meat. I mean, I eat meat as well too, and I sometimes eat some of that tissue meat as well. So that is something very important, right? So, very good question there, Daniel, pertaining to the carnivore diet. Right? I've had people who suggest I go on carnivore. I just can't do it, right? If I try to just eat meat all day, I'm going to feel sluggish. I feel horrible afterwards. It's not a good feeling, right? I've even tried it. I do not like it at all. It's not good at all. But mineralization, right? You have minerals in your body. You're drinking water, right? You may have some light fruit, light vegetables. You feel great afterwards. Like I said, guys, I do eat meat, right? But if I'm basically just eating meat and nothing else, you just feel sluggish. You feel irritable. You feel mad. You feel miserable, right? It's not a good feeling, right? I know there's a lot of people in that sense who are praising carnivore. But as I've also talked about, it's not so much about a generic diet. It's about looking into what your body needs, right? You need to learn to talk to your body. And this is what I've been doing a lot more. It's talking to my body, working with resonant dowsing, which you guys will learn through the Etherics Academy, about how to work in the vibration of your own body and the foods that you intake to actually create your own diet, because every body is different. All right. Okay, guys, we're going to take one more question. We're going to wrap up for today. Okay, let me just check. I'm just making sure there's no other donation-based questions. No, I think we're good. Okay. So I'm just going to take one more question, then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Jan just quickly asked me, Brad, are you doing personal sessions, long-distance healing? Yes, just go to my website, newearthteachings.com. If you want to do a healing session, you can either do it through me, through the 3-question email session, or through the private session. Okay, so you can look up there, newearthteachings.com. Okay. Okay, I'm just looking for that one last kind of golden question, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, I think we'll end here with one San Remi's question to Adronis about psychedelics. Okay, what does Adronis think about psychedelics like LSD? Okay, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so here we go. We thank you very much for your question pertaining to the idea which is termed as psychedelics. Well, you have to understand that mankind has been working with the psychedelic kingdom, as it were, for many, many thousands of years. In fact, this is exactly how they were able to know a great deal more about the forests, is they would be led into actually having these psychedelic teachers to which they would ingest, to which they would consume, and that they would actually have a, as it were, a psychedelic classroom coming together, where they would wander the forests and they would look at many of the foods that were available, and they would know through the psychedelic impressions which foods were beneficial for them and which ones were not. It has often been stated that mankind would watch the animals to detect exactly what they would eat and what they would not eat. To some degree that is true, but you also have to understand that based upon the animal, there are certain things that animals can eat that humans cannot. So that's not quite the truth. It's partially true. But really what it comes down to is through many of the ancient medicine men and women, through much of the aboriginals and the indigenous peoples of your planet, many of them would go on sacred journeys. And the sacred journeys would relate to the nature of common psychedelics. And through the bonding of the intelligence of the plant together with the host, they would therefore wander the forests, knowing exactly what needed to be intaked within the body. In that sense, they would also know about certain degrees of medicines, because simply the question would be posited, and there would therefore be the answer that would come through the psychedelic guidance. So the psychedelic nature into what much of the ancient men and women would go through would function together as a teacher-student relationship, where they would be able to go through the forests and they would know exactly what kind of medicines could be used to heal another. Many of them can even be psychedelics themselves, but they would also understand much more about the potency pertaining to certain forms of herbs, to other particular forms of plant-based nutrition within the jungle. And because of their heightened awareness relating to psychedelic states, they would be able to detect exactly which would be potent enough to bring about remedies to certain common degrees of illnesses and sicknesses. The forest, in regards to its psychedelic teachers, whether you're looking at the nature of psilocybin, whether you're looking at the nature of the spirit vine, the ayahuasca, or any other particular form of psychedelic agent, are basically being the ambassadors of the forest. They're being the ambassadors of the living earth, and that humanity is able to access this great knowledge to which these ambassadors hold, ingesting it into themselves so that the ambassador and the human host become one. So they are able to go through the jungles, go through the forests, basically being able to know much of what needs to be known pertaining to what is good for me, or what is good for my family, or what is good for my tribe, what is good for my clan, what is good for my village, what is good when this person has this type of sickness. They would get the guidance, and they would be led towards these particular forms of contents that were contained within the forests and the jungles of your world. They would also be shown exactly how to mix it together and combine it into appropriate potencies. This can also be demonstrated in deeper psychedelic states. And they would therefore have these concoctions that would cure many different forms of ailments, because the jungle has everything that man needs to live. So, psychedelics have been your teachers. They have been the ambassadors of the forests of life upon the earth. Now, should you decide to take it or not is up to you. But we would always suggest that if you are working together with psychedelics, you are doing it in the love and the honoring of what they represent as ambassadors. You are seeing them as they see you. And if you can see them as they see you, you have a great honoring and a great respect, and you will be taken care of as you move deeper into the psychedelic journeys so that you can be educated. It is an educational practice when you are going into psychedelic exploration. It is to helping yourself grow. It is to helping yourself evolve. Because as you evolve, you will notice that you will actually require the psychedelics less and less, because the channels that are opening up within you that are enabling you to have this interaction with the psychedelic plant in question are naturally starting to sprout within yourself to where the psychedelics are no longer necessary, and before you know it, you're evolving to the level where you can talk to the planet naturally. You can talk to the trees, you can talk to the plants, you can talk to the animals. It's all natural. And the psychedelics are opening up those chambers within yourself so that this, therefore, can be done. And that's the nature of the psychedelic. It is your ambassador. It is your helper. It is your teacher. It is your educator. See it in the same way, and there will be a profound journey between you both. All right? We thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction. I am Adronis of Sirius. We will now conclude and return to the conduit. Goodbye for now. Okay. Great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Adronis. Much love. And we will go ahead and conclude today's Signposts. Hope you have all enjoyed it. I will be back tomorrow, again, 10 a.m. Pacific time for New Earth TV Live, where we're going to do some Q&A and we're going to do some distance healing. Okay? So be sure to tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are in the world, and I'll speak to you tomorrow for New Earth TV Live. Have a great rest of the day, guys. Namaskar. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May it be well with you all. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to New Earth Teachings on YouTube. Don't forget to check out our websites, newearthteachings.com, where you can do private sessions with me, and also etherics.co. And through Etherics, you'll be able to pick up your Healing Code Cards body deck, your mind deck, and your energy deck through Etherics. You will also be able to pick up the Etherbed kit. That is also on Etherics as well. Not to mention that you'll also be able to pick up some apparel and accessories that is also available on Etherics. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one. Om Shanti, 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 Namaskar, and may it be well with you.